Being able to, after you kill an army, just drone up really fast. An early third? Okay, so back to Brano's question. What makes you safe to get an early third? Your opponent taking a 1-Rax FE. That's the time you take an early third, but you need to do a very refined build order to do it. Anyone watching me earlier saw me get raped trying to do it. But basically, Iagos. So look at Polt's scouting. He's been forced into 6 slings. Okay, he's like, no Marines have rocked up yet. Sure, I've only seen this, so he could be stacking Marines somewhere, but that would be really stupid. At the top level, that's not going to work, because just Marines coming really late, past their timing, they won't be effective. So Polt's basically saying there's only one build he could have done, that's a 1-Rax expand. Now, if your opponent 1-Rax expands, they can't apply very much pressure. There's 2 kinds, basically. They can go really fast reactor Hellions, but it's kind of really hard to do that on this map, especially because they need to use barracks to wall off, and then their Hellions will be delayed. Or they can kind of go lots of Marines and move out, which is what Iagos does. So that's why it's always safe to take a fast third against a Terran, only if they're doing a 1-Rax expand, really. Or if you have a really refined build around it. But personally, I prefer just throw a macro hatch always. Wait till you've got tier 2 up, wait till you're getting either mutas, or you've got your bases saturated and you're pumping units at least. Excuse me, then taking a third. So he's taking it because he knows there's a 1-Rax expand. He hasn't spotted it, but he knows it's there by reading into his scouting info. So let's continue with this replay, guys. Let's get through this. Everyone who's still watching, thank you so much for your dedication to learning Starcraft better. And those Marines popping, in the nick of time. Still losing 3 workers only. Alright, so let's look at Iagos' build. Let's move away from the Zerg perspective back here. So what do we got? Missile turret, missile turret, missile turret, missile turret. And he's pushing out. So he's kind of zoning them out with these missile turrets a little bit. But you see there's still, if the mutas fly around, they can still get in here. Mutas fly around, they can still get in here. They can go around the bottom, they can get in here. So one weakness to this build we can see is the fact that he doesn't really have enough units to put on pressure after losing his first move out. And is it back on me? No, it's on my screen. Good. He doesn't really have enough forces to put pressure back on the Zerg. And he can't really cover his bases with the number of turrets he can afford. So he's actually going to have openings, and we're going to see that come into effect. So this is why, especially on this map, your Marines are all down here. You don't have any Marines up here. This whole area is devoid of anti-air. This whole area is devoid of anti-air. This whole area is devoid of anti-air. And look at this. We're going to see this workers... Okay, so 2 workers sniped down there. How many meters is this? It's only 8. It's not a massive number. And look at that. Almost getting stim. If he got stim there, I dare say that would have actually won him the game. Stim being delayed like that just puts such a kink in all of Iagos' plans. His ability to be aggressive, his ability to defend, all would be severely hampered. So I think we're going to see some more muta harass soon, and we will see some more gaps. But you do see the strength of Iagos' placement. With his limited turrets, he's covering this area. And it's like, okay, if they fly through here, they've got to fly between the turret zone and the marine zone. If they fly through here, this is all marine zone. Lots of turrets, really well fortified. So okay, that's covered now. Now that he's got these turrets up, you can see his plan coming to action. This is all covered. This is even being reinforced. This is a bit of overkill, these turrets. Down here is still open. But for the mutas to get in there is very out of the way. They won't be able to get home very easily. They're going to have a lot of trouble. So your turret placement, really, really, really important in Terran vs Zerg. Especially doing a passive play like this, where you're waiting for those upgrades to kick in. And let's look at it. 3-3 already, almost halfway done at 14 minutes. That's actually ridiculous. What's the Zerg upgrades at? Is 1-1 about to finish. That is just painful, man. Once Iagos gets into a situation where 3-3's up, he literally doesn't even need to engage well. He just needs to engage, and the Zerg units will get pawned. He doesn't even need to take a 4th base. So all he needs to do is survive to this point. And part of that is applying the pressure earlier. Forcing all those Ling and Bane out earlier in the game so that he didn't get to use this 3rd base. So any 1-Rax expand as a Terran player, you need to be following it up with some sort of quick aggression to stop the Zerg just going straight to 70 drones and laughing at you. And this is how you do it. You get this crazy upgrades. This is such a sick build, sorry. I love it. Look at this, you know, great control on his Marines. If you're a lower league player, or if you're me, someone who doesn't play Terran every day, I would just throw turrets up behind my push. Because I don't like my reinforcements getting screwed on. Because I look away from my army a bit, and I lose all my stuff. Now once again, we're going to see some of that micro I was talking about in the earlier game. Except this time, Iagos doesn't go into creep. You'll remember... what was his name? I forget his name. I think I've got a chat window to him. Peekaboo. Peekaboo. Really great positioning, but always on creep. Not so good at clearing creep. Iagos has been clearing these tumors out here. And he's coming through the one area where there is no creep. So the Zerg might be, oh, okay, let's engage. But look at this. He's got a funnel into a bit of a choke, especially with this gas here going around there. Go around here, chokes. When your units go through chokes, they bunch up. And these guys can run off and create a rainbow off creep. And Stim Marines with almost 3/3 upgrades off creep against Banelings, that's just like, it's so bad, man. So, yeah, look at this. Spreading his tanks out, using that Shift E. You click there, Shift E. You click there, Shift E, etc. Look at this. A few Marines out front to kind of bait him out. And look at that. They don't even die. They actually deal a lot of damage because the Zerg's so eager to move his Banelings past to get to the main clump of Marines. He focused his tanks on the Banelings. They fired 2 shots, killing almost all. And look at this. 4 left, and the Marines just shoot them all down. And look at this. 3/3's about to finish, and you got a freaking pack of Marines here. Now, here's what happens to Iagos a lot of the time. He gets over eager with causing damage because it's something you need to start dealing damage around this stage before the Zerg gets out of control. The Zerg has a 4 base economy. He has not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 hatcheries up. He doesn't have a hive yet, but I don't think Iagos knows that. He hasn't been scanning, so he feels the need to apply pressure before broods get out. And look at this. He's going to move in, but look at this positioning. Where is he going to set up his rainbow? This is, I know it sounds stupid, but this is actually what I want you guys to think about. Where's your rainbow going to set up? There's no space here. You can kind of go there, but you're going to be on creep the whole time. There's not enough off creep. There's still creep here. He needed to wait for this creep to go. Wait for more tanks. Wait for more Marines. And then move up. So watch this. And he just has nowhere to go. He's trying to run his Marines. He's like clicking here and here. And they all die for almost nothing. And that's Iagos doing a perfect engage, Iagos doing a bad engage, and kind of throwing away that advantage. Oh! There we go. But you know what? This is a 3/3 Marine now, baby. Or almost. See, 3/3 Marines with Medivacs, just, you know, you can't kill that. So Iagos might be feeling not too good right now. He might be like, oh, he knows he's at a supply disadvantage. When you're fighting 1/1 Lings and 1/0 Mutas with Marines, it doesn't matter. If you've got any economy at all, I mean, you've got enough money to spare a command center, you're building 9 Marines at a time. All you need to do is keep forcing fights, and look at this. The creeps had time to push back. And this time he's actually moving up here. He's not afraid because the creeps push back and he's got the space to set up his rainbow. So, come on, Rainbow Terran. And look at this. Just spreading his guys out, pulling him back, focusing with the tanks. And look at that. When they're off creep, sets up the rainbow. Polt knows he's just, what, I'm building 20 Lings against this many, you know, 3/3 Marines. I'm dead. And he has to just leave the game. So that's... There's 2 main ideas that I've been talking about today, guys. There's, in TvZ specifically. In Zerg vs Terran, a lot of it was mechanics. I guess it's a shame, and there's a few points on engages and stuff, but I guess I did do a bit more focus on Terran versus Zerg. So what I want you guys to take from this, especially the Terran players, and as the Zerg players to think about it as well, and not get baited into these situations. But remember that first game with Peekaboo. Remember, he had that little choke with the tank, and then he had his units in front on creep, he lured the army down, the Ling came down, and he ran back through the cracks between the statue and the tank and the statue and the cliff, let his Marauders plug the gaps, and the Banelings just started blowing up on Marauders. His Marines started shooting everything down. He just spread them back into a little rainbow, and he cleaned up that first attack perfectly. And that was Peekaboo's, you know, perfect play, which he followed up with some more perfect plays. This game as well, Iagos did the same thing. He moved up to this one bit where it was the edge of creep, being a bit more creep, better at clearing the creep than Peekaboo. And he did basically set up his rainbow, you know, spread out some units, lure him onto the creep by just poking his units, pushing back the amount of space that Polt had to you know, set his units up. Polt was going to get pushed up his ramp into his natural if he let Iagos keep pushing. And once you get pushed back that far, you know you're screwed as a Zerg because your units are going to run out in a clump. So Polt kind of lost it. He snapped and he went, I'm going to charge. And let's go back to the first one of these big engages. It was about 14 minutes, I believe. So look at that, clearing the creep, waiting for it to disappear a bit. Okay, it was about 15 minutes he moves out. And let's look at this. Goes to the edge of the creep, sets up his tanks using that shift click usually. Yeah, there he does it. Oh, screen, I'm so bad at this. Far out, Jesus, thank you. Thank you, Henry. Okay, guys, so what I was just saying was, it's like the worst produced piece of crap show ever. I know, right, guys? Okay, so he moves up here. This is what I was saying. This is what I was just watching. I just rewound it for everyone. Sets up his tanks using that shift command. Goes on the edge of the creep. Doesn't want his marines to get surrounded by banelings. Starts clearing creep, splitting up marine squads, baiting his opponent out, pulling them back, luring them into tank fire. And now let's look at it, because Polt loses it and goes in there. And look, these marines are so far back. And just watch this. Those marines get ignored and they just massacre the lings. And these marines, they make the little rainbow. Okay, these ones kept moving a bit to the side. Wasn't really a proper rainbow. But you guys know the idea by now. And that's how it worked. So, a question from Henry. If you're playing an upgrade-heavy Terran like this is Zerg, what is your ideal response? And what attack and defense upgrades should you prioritize for yourself? Well, and you want to get your own double evo immediately. Once you recognize this build, you see that 3x wall off, that, like, you know, this double eBay, you scout that with your mutas or something. You want to try and get these eBays with your mutas if you can, with that muta ball. Infestors are a great idea. If you're not confident with your muta ball, you know, you're a bit afraid that he's going to get some good engages on you, he's pushing your creep back. Infestors are so good against this, you know, marine-reliant army. Double upgrades are a must, and just getting a lot of Ling Bane kind of to counteract that first push. So if you guys want to know how to counter that first push, let's see, when does it move out? 9 minutes is when the first push moves out. You see combat shields and 1-1 all finish at the same time at 9:15. So as long as you start building Ling Bane just before it, like this, and then you try and catch the units. Whenever a Terran forces you to build units rather than drones, you want to trade those units onto his, if possible. If not, it's not too big a loss. But that's what you want to be doing, man. Double ups, counter that timing, and you'll be fine. You just got to keep your upgrades not too far behind theirs, add infestors in earlier than you otherwise would. You can't just rely on the mutiling style. So, guys. So what did we get from this week's episode? TvZ specifically? We got what I was just talking about, setting up the rainbow, using your positioning. We also got, what did we get, man? Like, I'm so zoned out, I've been talking for way too long. I'm going to, like, cut these episodes in half, maybe do it twice weekly, I don't know. I'll cut them in half, that's for sure. Also so people can watch the VOD. The other thing is doing a macro build as Terran, not necessarily relying on killing your opponent. People think, Terran, you need to be aggressive, you need to pressure your opponent. You can pressure them while getting crazy fast upgrades and a quick third. And that's what having a nice tight build order, like Iagos has shown here, can really do for you. Memorizing a build like this, one for each matchup, taking that on ladder every game, perfect way to play. Double upgrade style, like what Thorzane and what the Slayers players are now doing in Terran vs Protoss. Beautiful way to play it. TvT, oh well, TvT is its own dirty matchup. I don't know. Kind of going for the mech and getting your production up, going for the long game in that, as well as adding upgrades and taking a lot of bases. A good way of playing TvT as well. Not my favourite matchup for a while though. So yeah guys, that's pretty much it. I mean, that's this replay over. That's the final pro replay. Iagos vs Polt. That's a really cool build that Iagos showed there. It was very refined. He clearly knows how to execute it 100%. Yeah, so any other questions or anything in the chat? I mean, that's the end of today's episode, guys. Once again, anyone that wasn't here at the start, and yeah, as J-Box saying, Rossi did that exact build in the PPSL. It was crazy moving, really. He did it versus Tommy J as well. I mean, it's a Shakuris build. It's just so good for that map.